Welcome to Natural Horsemanship Solutions. I'm Lindsey Forkin, and this is Henry that we've got here today, and we are introducing Henry to the scary ball. So you can see Henry is very intimidated by this ball and felt the need to get away, and that's okay. Horses either like to flight away or fight away from what they find scary, and so in this scenario, Henry was just doing what he felt he needed to do to stay safe. So from horse psychology, we know that horses can gain confidence when they can follow what is scary. So what I'm doing now is I'm asking Henry to follow the ball. So I'm allowing him to follow at a distance that he finds comfortable. So I'm trying to keep Henry's nose pointed towards the ball, but if he needs to follow 10 feet back or 15 feet back, I'm going to allow the rope to let him go to a distance that he's comfortable. So for the most part, you can see that we're walking with a loose line because I want Henry to be comfortable. So right there, you can start to see that his expression is starting to change. He's starting to look at the ball in a little bit more of a curious manner. And you can see that Henry's starting to take the slack, a bit more slack into the rope. So for the most part, he's starting to switch over from being scared of the ball to starting to be curious of the ball. He's no longer feeling the need to flight away from the ball. And you can see that he's starting to get a bit more curious, starting to walk a little bit more closely to the ball. And sometimes this is where people can be tempted to want to then stop and allow the horse to sniff the ball or push the ball into the horse. And what you really need to do is just keep moving the ball slowly away from the horse. And we're going to get to a point where Henry's going to begin to get more curious, and then he's going to offer to sniff the ball. And that's going to keep some trust in our relationship. So right there you can see Henry's finally at the point where he's curious enough where he himself offered to sniff that ball. And what we want to happen with horses is that they be the ones to offer to get really close to these scary options. And then that way it's not us forcing things upon them, it's their curiosity that's coming through. And you can do this with any object that your horse finds scary, a spray bottle, a tarp, a plastic bag. Just get the horse to follow the object until they begin to get curious and offer to touch it themselves. And once they get to that point, you can start to increase the object's scariness. Here you can see I'm starting to kick the ball a little bit more, making sure that he's still comfortable with it. And this is filmed in real time, so you can see that it took about 3 minutes. And now I'm at the point where I can kick this ball, and Henry no longer thinks that it's scary. He doesn't feel the need to flight away from it anymore, and where he's actually being curious and starting to touch it himself. So what I'm waiting for is a sign of Henry thinking. Horses thinking, you can see that when they start to lick their lips and chew. Starting to see a little bit of it here. And once Henry has thought about this and digested this thought, that's when we're going to take it up to the next level, where I'm going to start to ask Henry to walk into the ball and touch it with his legs. So right now he's touching it with his nose, which is the first place that a horse likes to investigate an object with. There we go. You can start to see him lick his lips there. So then now I'm going to ask Henry if he can start to walk into the ball, take it up to the next level. There we go, and he's kicking the ball and he's still feeling really comfortable about it. He didn't feel the need to flight away. And so now I'm just going to keep walking with Henry, keep moving the ball away from him, and keep asking him to move into the ball so he can push the ball away from himself. There we go. And then the next level that I could take it up to would be bringing the ball towards Henry. But it's always going to keep Henry's confidence if he can move that ball away from himself. And you can see that all of that hesitation that was there and all of that fear is virtually gone now. And he's able to touch the ball with his face, he's able to walk into the ball, and he's really not scared of it anymore. So something as simple as just being able to follow the object that is scary in little as 5 minutes that we've taken here, we've taken a horse that originally was running away from something, and now he's able to walk into that. Just by understanding horse psychology and recognizing that the horse is a prey animal and doesn't like to have things trapped upon them or forced upon them. Instead, it's better for the horse to just follow that object. So the next step, if I want Henry to be able to play with the ball, is to find a way to motivate Henry to want to push the ball. So right now we've gotten Henry to the point where he's comfortable with the ball. He's not afraid to kick the ball. But what we want to do is try to teach him that he should want to push the ball. So that's what we're going to do next, is getting Henry to want to push the ball. Next, to help motivate Henry to want to touch the ball. So with Henry, he's a very food motivated horse. So we're going to, every time he touches the ball, I'm going to give him an apple snack. And then once he gets a little bit more experienced and understands what we're doing, I'm going to wait for him to actually push the ball before he gets the snack. And so you'll notice what I'm doing when he comes into my space and I start to do the little flap of my arms. That's the chicken dance. So that's the stop being pushy, don't come in my space. So I want to make it uncomfortable for him to be in my face with his nose. I don't want him searching for the treats from me. I want him to look to the ball as the way to find the treats. So I'm not going to be rough with him, but I am going to protect my personal space and just push his nose away or make that space around me uncomfortable. But we're using food in this case just as a motivating tool. And not all horses need treats or cookies to help motivate them. It just depends on the horse and what works for them. So you can see now that Henry's gotten a little bit better. He understands a little bit better now that he's supposed to touch the ball, and then that's how he's going to get the reward. And for some horses, the reward could just be getting a chance to stand still or have a nice friendly rub on their neck. You don't always need the snacks, but this is just one way that you can help motivate your horse a little bit more to get them to do what you want. So this is Henry now with his owner. So it's one thing for a horse to be able to work with me and get something done, and then it's a whole other task to be able to practice with their owner and be able to do the same thing. So you'll notice the owner's doing the same little chicken dance flap to make sure that Henry's not coming into her space and just waiting for him to touch the ball, and then he gets his cookie. So now you can see that Henry's a little bit more experienced in what he's doing. He understands that he's not supposed to go to the human for the treat. Instead, he's supposed to go to the ball. And this is something that works quite well with most horses. They start to look to you for the treat, but once they figure out how it is that they get the treat, they're really quite excited. They see that ball and they start to think, oh yes, we're playing that game today. And that's what we want. We want the horse to start to seek out these toys. There, I gave it a really good push there. And then a good place to quit is when you get a couple really good pushes. You don't want to play this game too much and then make it kind of boring or go to the point where you no longer have a way to motivate your horse. So we're just going to wait for Henry to do maybe one or two more good pushes of the ball and then call it a day for him, because he's really come a long way from wanting to get away from that ball to now with nice pushing the ball.